I hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, fam? This is Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with that uncut boxing talk, because we don't do narratives, we don't do bias, we don't do none of that tomfoolery on this channel. We just talk boxing for the masses. And we had some great fights this weekend. I'm only going to talk about the main events. There was a lot of fights. There was a lot of prospects getting into fights, and I only want to talk about the ones that were headlining because I don't want to make an hour-long episode. Out there at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona, Emanuel Navarette fought the Australian Liam Wilson. And then out there in New York City at the famed Madison Square Garden inside the Hulu Theater, we had a bunch of great women's cards with the undisputed fights involving Alicia Baumgardner and Elham Mekhaled and Amanda Serrano and Erica Cruz. And I want to talk about those three main fights. So let's start off with what happened out there in the West Coast in Phoenix, Arizona, or Glendale technically. We had Emanuel Navarette and Liam Wilson. Hats off to Liam Wilson because he gave us a much better fight than I think a lot of people were giving him credit for in the build-up to this. Most people were very, very dismissive of Liam Wilson. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 15-1 odds coming into this fight. The end result, for those of you who are impatient and don't already want to know, Emanuel Navarette won the fight by a 9th round stoppage, 1 minute and 57 seconds in, successfully becoming the WBO super featherweight champion. That's the 130-pound limit, and he was already the WBO featherweight champion, the 126-pound champion. So now he is a featherweight and super featherweight champion for the WBO organization, but Liam Wilson did not come to play. Liam Wilson, prior to this, was very unheralded. This was his first fight outside of Australia, his first fight on the international level, and he goes heads up with El Vaquero, Emanuel Navarette, who was on a quest to become only one of, I think it's 9 total Mexicans to become a champion in 3 or more weight divisions. This was his attempt at a 3rd weight division. Liam Wilson came in and he was not backing down for a split second. The first round was kind of tentative, and then they started to find their rhythm. And then Liam Wilson shocked everyone by dropping Emanuel Navarette in the 4th round. That left hook, the one the Australians kept talking about, it found its home on Emanuel Navarette, and it was shocking to see it happen. My eyes were wide watching the screen like, dude, he just dropped Emanuel Navarette. Either way, Emanuel Navarette recovered, and it turned into a fun, chippy, scrappy affair. Emanuel Navarette did eventually what he always does, up the ante on the volume, found his distance with that awkward darting in, darting out style, awkwardly hitting him from all kinds of different angles with those octopus-length arms, and eventually got the stoppage 1 minute and 57 seconds into the 9th round. Tough chap, that guy, Liam Wilson. Got to give my hats off to him. Hopefully we see him in more big fights in the future in the 130-pound division. He has shown without a doubt that at the very least he can make it entertaining in a championship level fight, which is what he did. It was something you did not want to stop watching once the fight started to really get heated up. You got to give Liam Wilson his credit. The man was an amateur national standout. He beat Steve Sparks, if I'm not mistaken, 4 times as an amateur. Now, this fight did not go without its controversies. Let's just talk about the weigh-in. There was controversy at the weigh-in for Liam Wilson versus Emanuel Navarette. At the weigh-in, Liam Wilson came in at 126.2 pounds. Emanuel Navarette was at 129.2, both of them under the 130-pound limit. But Liam Wilson said that he measured himself 20 minutes before the official weigh-in, and he was just under that 130-pound limit. So him and his team have been suggesting that, in fact, the scales were tampered with, and they even suggest that there's video evidence during the weigh-in of some Arizona fight officials messing with the scales. Hey, I'm not saying it did or didn't happen. I'm just letting you know what Team Liam Wilson said about the weigh-ins before that fight even got down to it. Now, didn't stop the fight from proceeding. Unfortunately, the official weigh-in, like I said, Liam Wilson was 126.2. Emanuel Navarette was 129.2. I'm prone to believe maybe there might have been some fishiness going on. We know Emanuel Navarette in the past had problems making weight, but hey, I'm not here to throw conspiracies around. It is what it is. Folks, this is boxing. Ain't no saints in this sport. And if you're coming into the sport expecting any major sport to not have some level of corruption, you're out of your mind. I don't care whether it's baseball with the Houston Astros, or we're talking about Robert Kraft with the New England Patriots, ice skating with Tanya Harding, or boxing and its corrupt officials and corrupt promoters. Every sport has a certain level of corruptions. Save the crybaby whining for someone that cares and looks at the world through rose-colored glasses, because I'm not one of those individuals. Now, there was also controversy regarding that count. Now, I'll let you know I was stunned to see Emanuel Navarette hit the ground. Everyone talked about Steve Sparks and that hook landed, and Emanuel Navarette hit the canvas in the 4th round. But to make it even more suspect was altogether, that 10 count took about 24 to 27 seconds, and somebody actually timed it, so they gave Emanuel Navarette an unusually long amount of time to recover from that knockdown in the 4th. And Team Liam Wilson is, of course, objecting that long count. It is what it is, folks. This is boxing. I don't think in the end it's going to affect the overall decision. Emanuel Navarette stepped out in the post-fight. After the post-fight, the one guy we originally wanted to see in a fight stepped into the stage, a native of the Phoenix area, in addition to Sonora, Mexico, of course, Oscar Valdez. That's the fight everybody wants to see. Hats off to Liam Wilson, but what everybody wants to see is Emanuel Navarette and Oscar Valdez go at it, because I think that they can give us a Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales type of Mexican fight, if not a trilogy. That's just me being optimistic. So let's move out from the west coast of Phoenix, Arizona, and that desert heat. Out there to Madison Square Garden at the Hulu Center, the women, they put on a great show. There was also some great undercard fights. I mean, they had Ramla Ali. They had Sky Nicholson from Australia. Richardson Hitchens had a great win over John Bauza. But I'm not going to get too much into those undercard fights because I could spend all day talking about, lower level prospects and stuff, because there's plenty of them in boxing. I want to talk about that fight with Alicia Baumgardner and Elhem Mekhaled. It was a fun fight. Started off a bit tentative, but after about the 2nd round, it got cracking. Now, let's see, what round was that? It was the 3rd round. Right, okay, so the exchanges were great. The exchanges were fierce and violent. In that 4th round, it was tentative, and then they got into the 4th round, and that's when the heavy exchanges started happening. Alicia Baumgardner connected with that powerful right hand, and Elhem Mekhaled hit the ground. Elhem Mekhaled recovered, got about her senses. They started scrapping again in that same round, and Mekhaled got dropped again, but she got back up and finished out the round, showing her resiliency. Hats off to Elhem Mekhaled. That's one tough chick. Now, regardless of what, I had Alicia Baumgardner effectively winning all those rounds. She won the fight eventually by unanimous decision. I think the story of the fight was Elhem Mekhaled keeping her cool, staying in those exchanges, and Alicia Baumgardner turning up the gas and then getting herself exhausted, which makes it strange because she started to show that towards the later part of the fight, she has stamina issues. And what makes it even stranger is that her lead trainer is Tony Harrison. So Tony Harrison himself is no stranger to being criticized for having stamina issues late in the fight. Alicia Baumgardner is an amazing fighter. Great technical skills, obviously has a lot of power in her punches. She's going to have to do something about the pacing of herself because she kept emptying her gas tank trying to get Mekhaled out of there unsuccessfully after that 1st and 2nd drop in the 3rd round happened. There were spurts here, 6th, 7th, 8th round, where Alicia Baumgardner would totally empty out all the gas that she had and would end up tentative and tired for the rest of the round. Although she still, successfully achieved the goal of dominating the fight. I hope to see Elhem Mekhaled in more future fights. It was a great fight on her part. Alicia Baumgardner, you got to give it up to Alicia Baumgardner. She is now the undisputed super featherweight champion of the world for women's boxing, and she had an awesome fight with Elhem Mekhaled. What's next for Alicia Baumgardner? I'm guessing it's going to be a rematch with Terry Harper because it appears that the lightweight undisputed champion, Katie Taylor, is more concerned about that rematch with Amanda Serrano. But, yeah, Alicia Baumgardner, she did it again, folks, and this time she is officially the undisputed champion. For those of you that watched that performance, the 2 knockdowns in the third, the great exchanges that happened between them, what did you think about Alicia Baumgardner's performance en route to becoming the undisputed champion this past weekend? Let me know in the comments section, y'all. Let's chop this up. Now, we got that last fight. Oh, I went and saved the best for last. Oh, my goodness. Emanuel Serrano might have messed around and gave us another candidate for fight of the year this past weekend, folks. That fight with Erica Cruz was something straight out of a movie. It was like a Rocky movie. There was blood everywhere. They were beating on each other ridiculously. There was no knockdowns, but it was captivating from beginning to end. These girls gave us everything they had in that ring. Hats off to Emanuel Serrano, who is now the undisputed featherweight champion of the world. Boxing community, did you guys get a chance to see that fight? Erica Cruz started off tentatively. In that first round, it looked like she was kind of anxious and a little bit nervous. But by that second round, that textbook Erica Cruz high volume approach started to shine out. And there were moments where Emanuel Serrano seemed overwhelmed with all the volume. Not overwhelmed, but she was definitely getting outthrown by Erica Cruz. The cards in the end didn't indicate just how close the fights really were. Let me see if I can actually pull up the cards real quick, because the cards really did no justice to the action as it unfolded in the ring. Let me pull up these numbers. 98-92, 98-92, and 97-93. And those do no justice to Erica Cruz. Even though Erica Cruz lost that fight, it was definitely a lot more than these wide cards that the judges saw in that fight, because Erica Cruz is a dog, and I definitely want to see her in future fights. There was a little moment right there in the 6th round. That was probably Emanuel Serrano's best round. She had Erica Cruz out on her feet, but regardless, Erica Cruz still stayed on her feet and managed to fight and swing her way out of that round. She survived the 6th round and managed to survive the fight up until the last bell. And survive is the wrong word, because she was in there thriving. That 10th round between Emanuel Serrano and Erica Cruz was epic. It was that stuff that boxing fans want. They were both bleeding. They were both exhausted. They were both swinging with everything they had. I'm telling you, it was like a Rocky movie. I am going to watch that fight several times and just enjoy every minute of it, because it was some splendid boxing. Now, Erica Cruz caught the L. Emanuel Serrano advances to become the undisputed featherweight champion. During the post-fight, Emanuel Serrano got the wide unanimous decision and is now the undisputed featherweight champion. During the post-fight, the Fighting Pride of Ireland came into the ring, Katie Taylor. They've already got a date established. It's going to be out there during the summer in Ireland, hopefully Croke Park. We're going to get the rematch for Emanuel Serrano and Katie Taylor. The two ladies that gave boxing its fight of the year for 2022 are going to have a rematch, folks, in 2023. What do you think about that rematch? Let me know in the comments section, folks. Let's chop this up. Anyways, folks, that's going to end the video for this time. This is Hot Boxing Minute. Hit follow if you haven't already done so. Hit that like button. Leave a comment, question, or concern in the comment box. Anyways, this is the future of boxing analysis on YouTube and TikTok. Peace.